Hello, everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We're going to be talking about some amazing books on Final Order Cutoff for November 17th, and it is a wide range of endings and beginnings. It is a big week for Harley Quinn and Star Wars fans, and we have some incredible guests. I have an amazing co host and an awesome special guest that will be joining us shortly, right after this opener.
Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you.
All right. And this week we are talking about comics on Final Order Cutoff Monday, November 17th. A lot of great ones. And I have an amazing co host with me. Unfortunately, Kyle is out. We have the awesome producer, Jay, and we have one of the most charismatic characters in comics, Daniel Crary of Ignition Press.
Character is correct. Matthias, good to be back. How you doing, man?
I am doing good. I am definitely caffeinated and I am excited because aside from some great comics on FOC this week, as a huge Avatar fan, this is the big release week for Avatar: The Last Airbender or Magic the Gathering. So I'm hoping everyone gets a chance to go to their local comic shop or game store and play a bit.
Some of those card previews. I mean, folks that don't play Magic at all, don't read comics, but are nerds in my life. We've had a lot of fun sending each other. Did you see the art for this? Did you see this card? Look at this Azula card. Oh my god,
Yeah,
it looks
I haven't
amazing.
good yet. All right. Now, I want to remind everyone really quick as we are dealing with Final Order Cutoff, there's two ideal places to check out all the comics on Final Order Cutoff each week because, well, we will talk about some of the bigger releases, the big new storylines, and hot covers. To see everything, you're going to want to check out two different websites. And Jay will bring that on screen right now. For if you would like Marvel, Ignition, Marvel Ignition, Distillery, IDW, Dark Horse, Kodansha, Square Enix, and others, you're going to want to go to prhcomics.com. That is the home of Penguin Random House and all of its amazing comics. On that website, you'll see right here, FOC for this Monday. You can click that to be brought to a simple website. We always recommend organizing A to Z so you can see all of those incredible comics on FOC. However, if you're a fan of DC, Oni Press, Dynamite, Image Comics, and more, those are handled through lunardistribution.com. So we recommend going to lunardistribution.com. You'll be on a website like this. Scroll down a small hair to upcoming FOC and make sure you're on the right date, November 17th, 2025, to see all those. These two websites will capture a vast majority, if not all, of the major comics that are on FOC every week. So we advise checking them out. But before we dive into FOC, we want to talk with somebody who has a great comic on FOC. This is not only a brilliant writer of comics, he is a journalist of comics and a comic retailer himself, Matthew Price of Speeding Bullet Comics.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. Excited to be here.
Hey, Matthew, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. Excited to talk to you guys about Team America Racing, which is coming out in kind of a different way than probably most people are used to seeing their new comics, but should be available in a lot of different comic shops for them. So,
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about that for a moment. Team America is first off not going to be that puppeteered comedy that many people instantly think.
it
But
will
we're going to
not
go
be.
back. Yeah, we're going to go back to that classic toy line that Marvel licensed from Ideal Toy Company back in the 1980s. Um, can you tell us a little bit about the origin of Team America before we got to where it is with you today?
So back in the 80s, this kind of a long and winding road. Ideal was selling a lot of Evil Knievel toys. But then Evil Knievel got in a little bit of legal trouble. They still had all these toys ready to go, and they wanted to still roll the line out. So they went to Marvel and said, we need a patriotic motorcycle adventure that we can sell these toys based on. They had all the molds and the I believe the bikes and different things ready to go. So Marvel then writes the Team America comic. That goes on for about a year. As I understand, it was a pretty strong seller. But at the end of the year, I believe the partnership ended for whatever reason. Ideal maintain the rights.
Sounds like we're having a little bit of connection issue with Matthew.
The Team America, basically,
Oh shit!
you would see in the toys, the molds, the cycles, the general look of the characters. Marvel kept the names that they made up for the Thunder Riders, but we've taken.
I feel like I'm still kind of getting it.
I am, yeah. The basic version of what he's saying is that Team America got shifted over to the Thunder Riders in Captain America and other books.
And the idea of a racing team that looks.
Okay. I think we momentarily lost Matthew, but hopefully he'll pop back in. I do want to point out, so Matthew's coming back with Team America, and it is going to be in Comic Shop News. You can see that beautiful cover by Howard Chaykin over there was just stunning. But Matthew is also one of the contributing editors to Comic Shop News. If your comic shop isn't getting Comic Shop News, you can ask them about it. It is an amazing newspaper style magazine that comes out weekly at comic shops and will give you all sorts of details on upcoming projects, what's going to be coming out in comics next week, what's the cool thing this week. And well, it has been much of that for years. Decades ago, it used to play host to things like the Amazing Spider-Man comic strip by Stan Lee himself writing it. And now Matthew, who's back with us, is going to be basically the one heralding the new comic strip of Comic Shop News. It is no longer Amazing Spider-Man, it's Team America. So that's got to be a pretty awesome position to take, right?
I'm pretty excited about it myself to be bringing new comic storylines back to Comic Shop News. I think it's a great resource anyway, and I think you add a comic to it, that's just even more reason for people to seek it out and pick it up. You're still going to be getting all the great features and interviews and spotlights on new product, but also, hey, you also get a comic book to read, 5 pages in issue 2000, and then 4 pages per issue through issue 2005. And 2001 is what's on FOC this Monday. 2000 is still available to order. We'll be talking a lot about issue 2001, a little bit of the backstory of the mysterious highwayman who is following Team America around. What's he doing? What's his story? Find out a little more in issue 2001, and yeah, it'll overall be a 6-part story from issues 2000 through 2005.
Yeah.
Heck
So
yeah.
this is a really, really great thing. Because not only are you going to get a comic strip, you can reach out to your retailer, see if they carry comic shop news. If they don't, talk to them about doing that. Issue 2000, which will start the Team America comic, comes out December 17th. Jay, let's show off some of the incredible artwork. Matthew, you're working with Josh Hood on this artwork, correct?
Yeah, pencil inker Josh Hood, and then colorist Lorenzo Scaramella, who is fantastic. I think it's just a great looking book. I think if it wasn't even my book, I think I would be intrigued by this art. These are some talented artists who are bringing the characters to life. I think really some really dynamic angles, some really great facial expressions. Really glad to have them on board for the series.
Yeah, I can honestly say I got to reach out to Matthew a few weeks ago in his shop. And when he first brought this up, I had this brief moment of like, Team America, we're bringing back Team America. But as he talked about it and showed me the artwork, wow, it is just amazing.
Ooh.
I am so excited to read this week after week. And it's kind of nice. Like, we don't get a lot, this isn't Japan where you regularly get weekly release, sequential art. So this is kind of a cool thing that not only can you get this, you can get this at a very affordable price. Some shops will give it away for free. Some might charge a small amount for it, or have it be part of a subscription program. You'll have to reach out to your shop to determine what that is. But this is a very affordable entry point, amazing read, while also getting all sorts of other great relevant content that if you're watching shows like Order Up, you will love the content of Comic Shop News.
Yeah,
Matthew, who was your colorist on this?
so that's Lorenzo Scaramella. He's based out of Italy. You've seen him on several American comics as well. I think with some of the bigger publishers, but I think both these guys, you're going to see their names going forward from this in a lot of places because they're just very, very good. So
They're extremely good. This looks gorgeous.
So yeah, love the art team that we've had. Dave Whitting, the publisher of Comic Shop News, kind of assembled the team, and I think he did a tremendous job. He's also the license holder of Team America, so he did a lot to just bring the product back, bring the property back. I know there are I've heard from already a lot of Team America fans who have been wanting this to come back for a while. So I hope to both do them justice and introduce it to a lot of people who might not be aware of it, whether they're sports fans or just want a kind of an exciting read. Hope we get both old and new fans and interested in our new take on the property, which is basically these young motorcycle superstars who do stunts in motocross, a motocross series across the country. There's some strange sabotage that starts happening, investigations start happening. And again, this is a serious character called the Highwayman who begins to follow them, and they have to kind of unravel what's happening, what's causing these accidents. But I think it'll be fun. I think a lot of this was inspired in part by following my youngest daughter around in her AAU gymnastics years. She's now a gymnastics coach. But a lot of it was just like the camaraderie of those kind of teams and just the work that goes into if you're going to be a young athlete these days. It's a lot of focus. What is that? How does your team in some places intersect with and maybe not replace, but become part of your family? That's something that we kind of lean into on the Team America storyline, as our lead character's father is missing, and Her mother is part of the team that goes around as part of their support staff. So kind of looking at that found family aspect that I think a lot of young people on one level or another are approaching today, some of whom through sports, whether it's gymnastics, skateboarding, motocross, and others through other hobbies or things that they get into.
All right, so this seems really like a book that can be handed to everyone. I mean, and I guess a magazine of sorts that can be handed to
Yeah,
everyone.
that's the hope, is that there's a lot of entry points for people and they find it interesting and compelling and connects to something in their life as well.
So here's the big question. For those who have no memory of Team America or the Thunder Riders, who is this new team that you have created of extreme sports enthusiasts?
Sure, you don't really have to know anything about the original Team America, and it doesn't follow up on the Marvel series or anything. It's just sort of as if they were inspired by the same toy line in some ways, is basically the way to look at it. Um, our lead character is named Ghost, Nikki Ghost Randall. She's a second generation motocross star dealing with trying to keep her team together amidst the fact that her father's missing. These strange accidents are happening. Her mom is sort of the coach, mentor, support staff of the team. Um, her two sort of right hand men on the team. A guy named Buzz is actually the team captain, the oldest, most experienced rider, who's a bit of a risk taker. Wants to lay it on the line in order to get his team to the top. And then there's sort of the analytical, cerebral member of the team is a little bit younger, named Ram Halder. Is also a very talented racer, but is very much about crunching the numbers and looking at sure they've got every advantage they can have uh, through analyzing the situation. And so those are our three main racers as our story begins. Um, they are facing off against a guy who's nicknamed Riz for his charisma on what's called the Green Team, or Team Green, who is Team America's biggest rival. He thinks Team America is probably doing something shady behind the scenes. He's not the biggest fan of them, so he's somebody they come into conflict with, and he's in some of the promo art of the series as well. But those are kind of our main characters as we get started, and then we don't know a lot about the Highwayman, but as you can see, he can throw a pretty good elbow when needed, and his relationship to the series continues to be explored as we go through the series and try to find out what's behind the sabotage of the motocross league.
All right. Now you guys got a legend in the comic book field, Howard Chaykin, to do a cover. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, he is. David worked, I think, with him or in some connection with him before, and he reached out and said, Howard was actually on the cover of the first Comic Shop News. There was an article about American Flag in Comic Shop News #1 on the cover, and he said, "We're doing issue 2000. We'd love to have you on the cover of 2000 as well. Perhaps doing something with our Team America Racing reboot." And he agreed to that and came up with this great image of Ghost Nikki Randall as to start off the series, kind of give the I don't know, I think it captures her very well, puts her out in sort of this open terrain. I love the image, and I'm super excited to have basically have the cover of a comic that I'm working on. The same guy that did the original Star Wars comics, created American Flag. I mean, can't really beat that. Known for the Shadow, Black Hawk, all kinds of stuff.
That's awesome. Now, as a comic retailer yourself, Matthew, it's amazing to be able to write a comic that's going to be in every comic shop, hopefully. What is your value for comic shop news beyond the comic? Do you find it something useful that you enjoy as a retailer?
Yeah, that's one thing. That's how I got started talking to Dave. As I became a contributing editor to CSN a year or so ago. I had just basically started carrying it again. I had carried it off and on, and then I decided, well, I'll back up. But in the short version was, I said, Dave, I think you're doing great things with it. We got to talking. He heard about my journalism background. I started writing articles and being a contributing editor there. I have found that there's often a lot of people who will see something in CSN and will then add it to their list. Certainly more than what we're spending to get CSN in the store. Um, there may have been a time, I think, for a while where you could feel pretty confident you were finding all this stuff on the internet. And I don't necessarily know that's as easy now. I think this is actually CSN is just right there in your store. And you're not going to have to click off of 17, 18 pop-ups to see what they're talking about in the article. It's just right there. So, yeah, going back when I was actually in college in journalism school, I had reached out to Cliff. Cliff Bigger is one of the founders of CSN, along with Ward Batty, and just talked to him about, because I had wanted to write about comics as part of my journalism career, and he gave me some good advice. I was trying to find out if they had internships or anything at the time, which they didn't, but he gave me some good advice on weaving comics journalism into what I was doing, and I ended up writing a column about comics for the Oklahoman, which is the Oklahoma City newspaper, for 22 years. And then I've since have continued to write a column on Substack, and then also writing some articles for Comic Shop News as well before I went into writing this Team America comic, which is the most widely probably distributed comic I've done, although I did a comic called The Post-Human Project, based on the film that we did called The Post-Human Project. And then I do a comic called The Grave, which we also did a short film of The Grave, which was at Comic-Con International back in 2018. And I still sort of do his ongoing adventures from time to time. But this will be the most widely distributed comic that I've done. Although I do think there's a couple good shops you can get The Grave at, even on this call. But as far as national distribution, this will be the most widely distributed thing I've done. Although if you want to watch the Post-Human Project, I believe it's still on Amazon Prime and Paramount Plus and some other places. You can track it down. It bounces around the various streaming services.
It's awesome. So beyond reaching out to your local comic shop and making sure they get comic shop news so you can check out Team America starting in issue 2000, where can people find out more about any upcoming projects and things you are working on, Matthew?
Probably the easiest to remember, my website is MatthewLPrice.com. You can find out stuff at the store at both, SpeedingBulletComics.com is our website that needs an upgrade, but we're Speeding Bullet Comics on Facebook. I think it's /Speeding Bullet on Facebook, /Speeding Bullet Comics on Instagram. And those are probably some of the good places. Like I said, I update a Substack pretty often. I think the easiest way to find that is nerdage.substack.com. I think that'll get you there. So,
You actually just had a great Substack email today about some of the top selling trends in comics, I believe.
Yeah, I try to update that because you don't see, we don't really have charts right now. And while it's just my sales charts, I feel like it kind of gives people some context about at least what's happening in one store. So
awesome. So make sure you check out Matthew's Substack, his website, so you can see all of his writing. And if you're ever in the dead center of America, one of the best shops you can check out in Oklahoma, Speeding Bullet Comics.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you
Good to
so
see
much,
ya.
Miss Matthew. All right, guys. Let's talk about some comics on Final Order Cutoff. Dan, are you ready to talk about new books that people can order by this Monday?
I've got my notepad ready for the things I'm going to call my shop about as soon as we're done.
All right. So we're going to pop over and start with prhcomics.com. I will dive us directly into it with the very first thing alphanumerically that we can get, 1776, because it's the very first year of America. As we're getting ready to celebrate the semi-quincentennial, this is an ideal book that is the movie I wouldn't expect. Morgan Le Fay has determined America is evil and must be done away with. And Doctor Strange sends a group of heroes, not just the Avengers, back in time to save America at the start. Tell me you wouldn't want to watch that on screen.
Honestly, I'd be down for it. I'd be down. I'd also, but I'm also just a fan of 1776, the stage musical, so I'm biased in that way.
There you go. No matter where people are, on either side of the aisle or anything with America now, I think that, every American and even non-Americans, just love that story of rebellion that, created this massive democratic, start to America. And it is a fun idea of throwing some of our favorite New York superheroes back to, experience that firsthand. The first issue is on stands now, was an incredible start. J. Michael Straczynski doing some of his best work, from a very prolific career.
Big
Um,
fan.
yeah.
He rarely misses. I've usually, if his name's on it, I got to pick it up.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this. Some great covers, as always. When you're on this, you can get the main cover, the creative team. You can see everything about it, and then see all these other brilliant covers available. Some not always, by just scrolling through PRH Comics. But yes, I am excited about 1776 because it also gives me a chance to talk about another classic figure from around the same time. I want to point out Jeff Johns' Red Coat just officially got announced for a film. So I get to have all my early American history comic content coming up.
They did they announce anybody attached to that? Director, writer, anything like that?
I believe they announced that Jeff Johns himself will be writing the film, and they announced
Sure.
the production company. But off the top of my head, I'm not that great.
No,
I'm
all
sure we
good.
can find out info on that. But yeah, I am excited there. Uh, Continuing on, we'll talk obviously DC over at Lunar. But if you have been a fan of Xenomorphs and the new Predator movie, you need to be reading Alien versus Captain America. Second printing is now available with the new Linnell U cover.
Ah,
So,
look at that thing. That's beautiful.
yeah. And then, have you been keeping up with Amazing Spider-Man, Dan?
I must confess, I fell off Amazing Spider-Man during Brand New Day, and I haven't come back.
No, I fully get it. And I got to say, I'm running a little bit behind on Joe Kelly's run, as much as I love Joe Kelly and consider him one of the top Spider-Man writers. So I was a little shocked, and somebody's going to be like, wow, this happened ages ago, Matthias, to discover Norman Osborn appears
Uh-huh.
to be in the suit of Spider-Man in New York City while Peter's off in space. And it seems that the Goblin Hunters are going after him, making for an interesting twist as Spider-Man, despite being the hero, even though it's Norman Osborn, is viewed as the villain by everyone around him. So this is an interesting issue I'm really looking forward to diving in on, with some amazing covers. Lee Bermejo reminding us that Norman Osborn has not always been a hero, with that dark and deadly flashback to Amazing Spider-Man 121 and 122, the death of Gwen Stacy. But
Love Lee Bermejo's work. That's such a beautiful cover. But I enjoyed Superior Spider-Man, so I might have to circle back and check this out.
yeah, it definitely has my attention. A lot of great covers, everyone from Corin Howe to Lee Bermejo, Ben Su's wonderful Stitch cover. Just so many great covers on that. But we have a lot of awesome ones I'm going to knock out and jump ahead to this. Uh, Betrothed to My Sister's Ex. You'll notice there's a light novel and a manga coming out on the same FOC with the same release date of January 20th next year. I should point out what we're FOCing for this week is not only the end of 2025, with some items being Christmas Eve release dates, but into early 2026. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're making your orders.
Yep.
But Betrothed to My Sister's Ex is a popular novel, light novel series, manga series, and anime that just wrapped its first season, now streaming on Crunchyroll. And it's not what you'd think. This is very much a Cinderella story of a young woman who has always been neglected, and her older sister gets everything, all of the royal treatment, all of the money, fancy dresses, wonderful rich suitors. And when one of those suitors, however, chooses the girl in rags, her life changes. This is a very unique tale that has been taking a lot of anime fans by storm with the recent Crunchyroll release of season one. And it is shocking to me that we have not had this out in English. So now we get both the prose novel in the way of the light novel and our sequential art in the way of the manga on the same FOC.
I
Now,
love that.
yeah, I feel this wasn't on your radar. Did the pitch get you?
No, it wasn't. I mean, Seven Seas isn't a publisher that I'm following as closely as, say, Kodansha or Square or anything like that. But I had seen footage from the anime from overseas. But I'm glad to see that the manga's getting here. Those covers are so fun, and who doesn't love a good romance manga?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not the traditional, often people think of Seven Seas and they think of a bit more mature, racy, manga
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
little bit naughtier, spicier, but this is a really, really great one. So I'm really hoping this catches some people's attention, and maybe we'll see as much, if not greater, success for the light novels or manga in a comic shop that we do with the anime on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is also wonderful to see that FOC is filling itself with much more manga. So for those who like Japanese sequential artwork, you're seeing a lot of opportunity to order that at your local comic shop if you so desire.
Manga is comics. I love being able to, pick up everything that I'm reading from the same place. I like being able to get in all of my orders at the same spot.
Well, and the great thing is always supporting local, because we always want you to support your local comic shop. Go out and order it from them before you choose some big box store, because that's where not only it matters more, but a retailer or a former retailer made a very interesting post today that I got to read, where he points out the real value of your local comic shop, local game store, and even, your local knitting supply place or brewing, store, is there's a world of difference in gathering with like-minded people in person as opposed to a Facebook group. We all have
Yeah.
access to, Facebook groups and threads and all these others, but when you look at those people of like-minded hobbies, it's a lot of arguing online, and you don't see that in person. Even when there is that argument in a comic shop, it tends to be an argument of who's better, Hulk or Superman, in a
Right.
very positive way. It's not the just trying to break down and destroy whatever you love. It's talking about that shared love. And I think that's a really cool thing when we can add more things to that same third place hobby spot. It just means we get to discover more, we get to share more and enjoy more and find more of what bonds us rather than what separates us.
100%. I think the internet has made it so that we all have access to information. You can find the comics, you can find the creators, you can know what's happening and be very knowledgeable. But passion comes when you get to share that knowledge and engage with other people about that topic. And you can really best do that in person.
Absolutely. Now, going back in time, two people that worked really wonderfully together were New York Times bestselling authors Marjorie Liu and Daniel Way. And they took a very interesting twist on the best there is at what he does in the Marvel Universe, Wolverine, by bringing you his bastard son, Daken, aka the Mutt. Dark Wolverine was an epic tale that started in Wolverine Origins, carried over as they retitled the main Wolverine series Dark Wolverine, and then gave him his own ongoing. And if for any reason you missed out on this character, this new omnibus has a hefty price at $150, but features more content than you can shake a stick at. You're going to get those original 15 issues of Wolverine. You're going to get the 23 issues of Daken, Dark Wolverine. You're going to get all of the one shots and crossovers, his key roles in Wolverine Origins, Frankencastle, What If, and X-23. This is one of the thickest omnibuy I've seen Marvel ever put out. Like,
That's
this
a
is
beefy big boy. And that's going back to when I was in college. I remember seeing this on the stands.
flash that youth a little bit more, why don't you, Dan?
Dude,
But
we don't
yeah,
want to. I know we're going to talk about Star Wars books later. Oof, yeah, we'll get there.
so two amazing covers on Daken, and if you have been a fan of any of the various clawed Marvel characters and haven't read these books, this is definitely a great one to add to your collection. Lot of fun ones for those who love your sci-fi. The Expanse series may not be continuing on Amazon, but it's continuing in comic form over at Boom Studio with the newest issue of The Expanse, Little Death. We have a huge amount of Marvel's Age of Revelation wrapping up on this week's FOC for releases throughout the end of December, because when we hit 2026, we return to our traditional X titles. Some of those will be on FOC this week. Marvel has to wrap all of our 3-issue Age of Revelations with things like Expatriate X-Men, Long Shot, Unbreakable X-Men, and more. So pay attention to those on FOC, and we'll have some bigger notes on that momentarily. But another one I want to point out, if you guys are X-Men fans, Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly brought together an amazing event of one-shots with giant size X-Men Second Genesis, giving us a tale of Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, traveling through time to prevent major changes to the X universe. A trade paperback now presents us with all 5 of those awesome parts for $25 right there.
Yeah. That's a great deal. From two of the best writers in comics. I love those guys.
The Hive Mind is phenomenal. And then great manga re-releases with Gunsmith Cat Bursts. I remember reading that well before I was in college, back in the 80s. That was a wonderful one. And we have He Craves to be Teased by his favorite ASMR streamer. Now, that's more of the spicy 7 Cs I tend to think of.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's when I think 7 Cs. That's much more. That's much more in line.
But keeping it Marvel focused, as that seems to be this week at Penguin Random House, so until we get to you, Daniel, is Null.
Yeah.
The God of Symbiotes is back. We first saw his return in Venom 350, and now it is getting crazier with his own one-shot by Al Ewing and TMNT famed writer Tom Waltz. Null is back. It's the return of the King in Black. 1.5 million covers, it feels like.
Yeah. Some good looking ones, though.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing stuff there. I'm curious to see what 2026 is going to look like with the return of Null.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping for an ongoing. I'm not gonna lie, but this one shot is feels like it would have to be the start of something more. They got too good a character there to just leave him on the bench.
Yeah. But I mean, it also leads me to believe, and I know this is a weird, take, seeing this as a one shot, it means that I feel he'll play a bigger role in the universe, because I feel that means they have to put him in other people's books. And that
Sure.
integrates a wider range. Now, that's just a theory. I am no editor at Marvel. I don't know how it's going. But I would say this is worth picking up, because I feel the God of Symbiotes might infiltrate your favorite comic coming in 2026.
Well, and with the Ultimate stuff coming to an end, you don't know. They got a lot of pieces on the board over there. We'll see. We'll see what 2026 looks like for Marvel, but I bet it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. Now, over at Boom, the book I am calling The New Something is Killing the Children, Marion Heretic is back. Before we even get issue number 2, we have to FOC number 3. I mean, it is a difficult reality with how Penguin Random House requires book reception into their warehouse to make sure it arrives at your comic shop on time, that now and then publishers are having to FOC early. But if you read issue number 1, you know that Teenie Howard has an absolute epic on her hands with this book. I love the I will always screw this up. Is it the Vesuvian Man reference by Leonardo da Vinci?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Vitruvian. Thank you. See,
Yeah.
this is why I keep Daniel around. He's far smarter.
No, easy, but Vesuvius, Vitruvian, come on, geographically close. Come on, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. I am thinking of Vesuvia. Yeah. So, but the Vitruvian Man, reference on this cover by Joe Jaro, absolutely amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, like I'm loving this tale of a young woman who is fighting her faith and the oppression that the church is placing on her, to where you must question whether you join up with the enemy for what is right. Marion Heretic, phenomenal comic. Issue number 2 will be coming in stores shortly. So consider that. If you liked issue number 1, to let your comic shop know you're committed. You need issue 2 and get that order in for issue 3.
Subscription, pull list, whatever they call it at your store. Sign up. Add the book.
Yeah. A lot of Marvel books, again, coming out this week. Marvel Knights, Marvel Swimsuit, even, as Tony Fleeks and Tim Seeley return after their big Marvel Swimsuit special. We now have the Marvel Winter Break special because swimsuits clearly work even in winter. I mean, Dan, you're in a pretty cold state. That's the perfect time to wear a 2-piece bikini, right?
Listen, the best way to engage with winter, in my opinion, to go skiing, downhill, cross country, take your pick, and then end the day at a hot tub that is adjacent to snow. Preferably not your own, because you don't want to have to clean this up. But you get wet in the hot tub, you get nice and warm, and then you jump out and roll around in the snow, make a snow angel, and then jump back in hot tub or hot springs. And just that you get your skin just feels alive. I routinely will engage in those sorts of winter shenanigans.
All right. Well, so maybe Tony and Tim are on to something, which is good because, well, Tim lives in the Midwest and I'm sure has an understanding of what cold is. Tony lives out in LA, and I still wonder if he understands what a jacket is at times.
I'm sure Tim won't forget. He's a Chicago boy. That gets mighty cold in Chicago.
Now, with those incredible swimsuit-esque books, obviously expect a number of great and sexy covers, as of course they bring it once again. Some awesome pieces right there by Nicoletta Baldari. We have Ivan Talavera, who is becoming a massive hit for many comic shops, moving a lot of comic covers. And then, of course, Gerardo Sandoval. Then check with your local comic shop if they're going to be getting that Lyrics Lee, because that is quite the delightful pair of 2 of my favorite X-Men. Furthering on this week, whoa, there we go. Always a fun thing with the PRH website. It just wants to give you pop-up after pop-up.
Just make sure you're still there.
Yeah. We have a lot of wonderful continuing series, new one-shots like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Zord Quest, delightful continuing and ongoing series, collections, and trades. For those of you guys who have been loving Predator Badlands, the Predator is still trying to kill the entire Marvel Universe, as issue number 5, which is, I believe, the final issue of that storyline, is on FOC. And if you are liking Predator Badlands, might I suggest picking up Planet She-Hulk? Number 1 is on stands now. A second printing is on FOC, because it very much has that vibe of Deck on Genna. If you haven't seen Predator, I'm sure those words made no sense to you.
I haven't seen the new one. I haven't seen Badlands yet. Have you checked it out?
I have. I actually just came back from it last night with my son, and it was a great. I would actually dare to say it's a great all ages movie, which is not what you expect with Predator. But
never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, it is. There's a reason. If you haven't had the chance, go to your local comic shop. This past week, Predator Badlands, the prequel, came out in comic form, done by Ethan Schacht. We talked about it on FOC about a month ago. It is a great read that sets you up for this film. And if you haven't seen the film, it is an action-packed adventure that feels very Avengers, X-Men-esque. I think that, if you are a comic superhero fan, you will love it. And I hope they can get a sequel. I really wish the sequel was underway last year. I need this in my life ASAP.
I think this is the third Predator movie from that same director. It seems like it's going well. I think they're going to keep expanding that franchise. So I'm here for it. Dan
Trachtenberg is definitely kicking butt. But Dan, a different Dan, not the director Dan Trachtenberg, but the masterful salesman Dan Crary. Do you want to talk a little bit about this comic Roots of Madness?
Roots of Madness is one of the most interesting books that I've had the pleasure to read and work on. Stephanie Williams, superstar artist. She brought back Street Sharks this year. She's done a ton of Marvel work. This is her first ever creator-owned comic. As part of our initial Ignition sequence, the launch of Ignition Press this summer. So we're hitting issue 3 here. But Roots of Madness is a body horror, Lovecraftian period drama. I'd say it's the Substance meets Sinners, honestly, is like the quick and dirty pitch on it. It's a reimagining of the life of Madam C.J. Walker. Like, that's the main inspiration. Not the same characters, not based on exact, but it's a similar sort of character inspiration there. And it is, I mean, honestly, if you liked Witches by Scott Snyder or Bitter Root, it's in that sort of vein. But we follow a really spectacular story with incredible art that I will screw up the artist's name. I never have said it right. Lizia Kondonichi. And her work on the interiors of this book, it's got a sense of creeping dread. There's scientific research that's happening. I don't want to like spoil too much and give it away, but issues 1 and 2 are out. Issue 3 right here is on FOC. There's still some issues in stock, so it's good to circle back to your retailer if any of this sounds interesting to you. But if you want to see a black created story that is truly horrifying, it's got some like, look at that cover, like it's got some body horror elements, it's got some scientific madness to it. This is one of my favorite books that we've been able to offer so far. It's perfect for any horror fan, but especially if you like the Eldritch Abomination style horror, like the creeping dread of Lovecraftian work, which is always great to see reimagined from creators of color, considering H.P. Lovecraft was a notorious racist. I like seeing those kinds of themes played out from creators of color, and Roots of Madness it's a special book. It's the story's really getting cooking here in issue 3. But if any of this sounds interesting, tell your retailer, hey, I'd like that Roots of Madness book, because there's still some stock of issue 1 available at Penguin Random House.
Yeah, I mean, over at Ignition, you guys do some really amazing extra content too that some comic shops will have available, like this wonderful Meridian Fellowship staff card right there.
Yeah, with some in-world items. We like to show off. We've been doing these retailer incentive items, things like that. We've had pins. Yep, there's the one from No Place. Another great book, just out from Tim Seeley the other week. Yeah, it's got some heft to them. Yeah, we've been trying to get folks ash cans and giveaway items and in-world things. Just trying to do things a little bit differently here as we come out of the gate with our first, I guess, at the end of November here, we'll have had 7 number 1s since launch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
it's just
I put it together. That has been a really quick launch.
Yeah. And yeah, we got more coming in 2026. I will be hiring in the sales department because it's going to be a lot.
Sounds great. Well, I mean, one thing I love is that pretty much, I mean, you guys have made some great effort to make it easy for comic shops to stock these books. And if somebody does discover one late, for the most part, they're all accessible, right?
We try to do a healthy overprint and a legitimate overprint. Not, there's a little bit extra because we want to force a sellout. No, we do a healthy roundup. We also are pretty lucky to have our own warehouse. So if we have excess inventory in the long run, we'll be able to keep that around for conventions in the future. But yeah, we like to make sure that if you want the book, you can get the book. My number 1 priority as director of sales is to get those books in people's hands. And it's hard to do if you run out of the book. But, not to tip my hand, but there is a book that we've run out of. So we're reprinting. But
Whoa, can we talk about a little bit about that?
Sure. If we want to jump ahead, we already did a reprint of the #1 issue of Murder Podcast. That sold out. We did a nice overprint on that, and that sold out at PRH. And I'm very pleased to announce that our other FOC this week, Voyeur #3, is it's taking it out of alphabetical order. But Voyeur #1, we're out of inventory. We are completely out at Penguin Random House here. So we will be doing a formal announcement and revealing the new cover very soon. But we'll have issue #1 reprinted with a different cover back in stores in January, right about the same time as issue 3 hits stands there. So we've been very, very. It's a little. Sometimes things sell out because you just didn't print enough, and they sell out real quick. But we've tried to do a really healthy overprint, so it's really rewarding when we see things sell out because we provided the extra inventory. We made sure that there was enough, and it still wasn't enough. So that's been real nice news that we got just this last week.
And I mean, it is a great statement. I really want to, put a spotlight on Ignition, that this is something I wish more publishers did. The fact that we are loving seeing 8th, 9th, 10th printing on so many books, that sounds really cool. But what is notably cooler, that means reading and your comic shop is the place where you can get your things, is when a publisher prints an appropriate amount, that when they have the confidence behind their book to stock it, you can come in, and even if your shop sold out, they can order more. I love that that is the way a print run should be. That is the way that new printing should be, is to give you access to read good material, because the publisher is as confident as the retailer and the consumer that it is something worth reading. So
If it was a bad book, we wouldn't publish it. So I'm always happy to. We have that conversation every Tuesday morning after we get our orders in from Penguin Random House. We look at how much was asked for and how much we'd like to have in reserve, and we find our number there. And it's if you make those two numbers closer together, if you just print just enough, you'll sell out. You'll sell out real quick, and you could do another printing. But especially as a new publisher, and especially doing creator owned, we want to support these books and make sure that #1 A cover that we've used for marketing and put in front of people a million times, that you've seen over and over again, that you can get that cover. That's the cover that's been put out the most. That's the cover I want you to be able to have. And when we sell out, it's a nice feather in the cap, nice little lap. Everybody feels good when we get a proper sellout, because we print pretty hard.
All right. Well, let's come back to Voyeur in a moment, because we do have a few other letters, and one of the big ones is S.
Yes.
Always probably the largest alphabetical section of any comic shop's back issue bins or new wall. But here's a huge one: Sorcerer Supreme. And for weeks, we've known there was a new Sorcerer Supreme #1 coming, but the question has been, who is the Sorcerer Supreme? Because as the status quo exists now in the Marvel Universe, Doctor Doom is the Sorcerer Supreme in One World Under Doom. And we have one more week before One World Under Doom wraps up in issue #9. Unfortunately, with the nature of solicitations, we have to know that it is Scarlet Witch that will be taking on the Cape of Levitation, the Eye of Agamotto, and the title of Sorcerer Supreme. Now, I don't want to scroll down into the solicitations. I will leave that up to you, if you so desire, on prhcomics.com to determine how that happens. But I do need to let you know that it is happening, and it is now time to get your orders in for Sorcerer Supreme #1. And I'm going to scroll past that solicitation really quick to show off. There is a bevy of amazing, amazing covers on there. Now, Scarlet Witch has relaunched so many times in the past 3 years, from Scarlet Witch Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Scarlet Witch and Vision, or Vision and Scarlet Witch, if you will, and now Sorcerer Supreme. And yet every time, I'm on board. I don't even want to tell you how many covers I'm going to be buying, because this is a masterpiece gallery. But
this is really nice.
yeah. And I think it's about time that Scarlet Witch got that role. There was always a cross in my mind of is it going to be Ileana Rasputin or is it going to be Scarlet Witch who becomes the successor to Doctor Strange? I didn't expect Doctor Doom to be
Hmm.
on that, and it is an interesting thing to see Scarlet Witch follow that up. Now, Doctor Strange, for you Doctor Strange fans, will still have his own ongoing series that we will be FOCing soon with the new Doctor Strange #1. But I'm most curious to see how this title takes board. I mean, what are your thoughts on the new Sorceress Supreme?
If they pull this off, this has the potential to be a turn like Barbara Gordon going from Batgirl to Oracle. This, I think, could stick. I think this could be really exciting. I love that Russell Dodderman cover, but I
Ah,
think fans, not trying to take shots, some fans were are a little upset with how Wanda's been treated in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hasn't quite gotten her due. And sort of speed running through some of her most pivotal story points. We'll see the possible adaptation of Children's Crusade that may be coming. Um, we'll see how that goes. But I think this feels like a love letter and a natural evolution of the character. Like it makes perfect sense, and I hope that this is a status quo that we can see um, for a good long while. I would really like to see what Wanda operating at a higher level like this looks like. Plus, I mean, it's Steve Orlando. I gotta pick it up. Steve's one of the best to ever do it. He is a delight to work with, and if you ever get a chance to meet Steve at a show, folks, say hi to Steve Orlando. He's just the greatest.
yeah.
But I'm excited to see what, like, I haven't seen a Wanda series in a minute that's this exciting, and yeah, it checks a lot of boxes for me personally. I will be picking this one up.
Yeah, I mean Bernard Chang on artwork, I know it is going to be stunning. I always love. I mean, it baffles me. He's one of the few artists I know who doesn't draw an 11 by 17. He draws in a smaller format, yet still nails every single detail. And for longtime Scarlet Witch fans, yes, it's still Steve Orlando writing. So while we keep getting these breaks that are wonderful jumping on points that I hope everyone is taking advantage of, for those who've been reading it the entire time, I mean, Steve's been writing Wanda for a couple years now, and it's never been bad. I mean, he's introduced some amazing characters. He's added on a lot of great relationships. He's brought a lot more lore to this character who has been around. Are you ready for this? For over 60 years now. Yeah, so I like this idea of the spotlight properly being placed on the Scarlet Witch.
I'm
So
excited for the eventual Steve Orlando's Scarlet Witch omnibus. That'll be something I'm picking up.
absolutely. Now, another big one in the Spider-Man 94, continuing on that cartoon of the 90s, but we have a cartoon version of Null now. Now,
Ooh,
I didn't think that we would ever, like get to certain concepts. Like, I mean, if you remember that classic cartoon series, left off in the middle of the Secret Wars is when the show ended.
yeah.
So just the idea of getting, black suit Spider-Man and Venom and all that stuff was a enticing concept. But Null in the animated style, Justin Mason did a great job on that. Will we get to see Null in the comic ever becomes the question.
I mean, I would love to see that. Personally, I'd love it if they gave it the X-Men 97 treatment and we got more of the show. But one thing at a time. I'll take the comic for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Then another great series of wonderful gift items as we are getting ready for the Christmas season. Unfortunately, here's the warning I got to give you: they're not in time for Christmas.
No, they are not.
My X family is going to get a fan notebook and a paper toy novelty book, which are fun little things to play with, especially if you're a fan of Spy X Family. Um, these are releasing, because I've already had customers reach out to me about these, hoping they can get them in time for Christmas. They're releasing in January and February, respectively. So just keep that in mind when you're
Yeah.
doing the orders. Take a look at release dates, because if you are planning these things as Christmas presents or even Valentine's Day releases, they may not always sync up. You want to check those release dates so you are not going to have a IOU gift owed at some event. Star Wars fans, we have some big ones this week. Star Wars continues under Alex Segura in the main title. We get a brand new Boba Fett Black, White, and Red that has my absolute attention because it is written by Alyssa Wong, who has been
Oh,
doing,
hell yeah.
yeah, she's been doing a
Sorry.
great job on Dr. Aphra, and she wrote some of my favorite content during the High Republic, which she seems to acknowledge in this with one of her new bounty hunter characters. Yes, Boba Fett is going to Bree Frang, which is the home planet or the home city of the Tarkin family. Yes, like Grand Moff Tarkin, and a place where the big High Republic end battle took place. And not only are we going to get that connection to Alyssa Wong's great Star Wars run, we're going to get bounty hunter Raslyn Grace, who has appeared in several short stories by Alyssa Wong in both Dr. Aphra and various anthologies. So this is, I think, our fourth Raslyn Grace story overall.
Hmm.
But I think that means it's worth picking up. This has a high amount of potential if this bounty hunter takes off. I mean, Dr. Aphra, if you remember, minor character from Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader #3, but has her own radio podcast, has action figures, statues, is integrated in.
It looks like we lost Matthias for a second.
Well, that's all right. He'll pop back on. I know he will. When it comes to Star Wars, this Black, White, and Red series that they first did with Darth Maul, and now they're continuing with Boba Fett, fantastic for any Star Wars fan. Obviously, Matthias is speaking to sort of the deep lore, canon elements that are tying in and out, but the stories are extremely accessible. I really enjoyed the Darth Maul series. That one had some great stuff. The Boba Fett series has really been peak as well. And I got a text. It did. Just Matthias hitting me over there. But as long as we're talking about Star Wars comics, fascinating, great history going back to the original Marvel comics in I guess that would have been '78 when the first Marvel comics hit. Before that, there's actually a Japanese adaptation that was technically the first Star Wars spin-off that has its own unique history, it being published over in Japan, based solely sort of on the trailer and posters, so it really has nothing to do with it, and it's very racy. It's a fascinating little piece of Star Wars legacy. But speaking of Star Wars legacy, my comic book origin, I've talked before about, Batman's Detective 700 was the first book I ever picked out with my own money, but I was a kid. I was probably about 6 or 7 years old then. But I didn't start becoming a regular Wednesday warrior until 2006. And what brought me into the store was Star Wars Legacy #1. The covers on Star Wars Legacy, this is the Dark Horse Star Wars comics from the early or mid 2000s. John Ostrander's Star Wars Legacy blew my little mind. It was totally new characters. It was 125 years after Return of the Jedi. The Sith had returned and had their own corner of the galaxy. There was a remnant of the Empire that had reformed, and there was a new Republic. And these factions warring against each other, with Luke as a Force ghost talking to his great nephew Cade Solo. It was truly, it just felt like a feast for me as a Star Wars kid at that point, and I'd read some of the Timothy Zahn books, but I hadn't really gotten into it. But I credit Star Wars Legacy as really bringing me into the shop. That was the book that I had to get every time there was an issue out. And I think I can safely say that without Star Wars Legacy, I just started going off about Star Wars, Matthias.
No, please, by all means. I actually had a computer crash, which is a brand new experience for me.
Oh no! Well, you're back now. What I'd said was that the black, white, and red stuff has been such a great jumping on point. First with the Maul series, and now the Boba Fett series. And I was saying that it was the Star Wars Legacy #1 back in 2006 when I was in high school that got me into shops as a Wednesday warrior. That's when I started becoming a regular, weekly, had to be there comic shop. Uh, Customer regular was with that, and I have every single issue of that series, and it spun me off into many other books I was picking up from Dark Horse and Marvel at the time. And I was sort of in the midst of Civil War, and the death of Captain America was all around that time too. So yeah, I'll always have a soft spot for Star Wars comics because that's really what got me into it as an adult, 15, 16 years old.
Well, out of curiosity, what are your thoughts on the Star Wars animated series?
Oh, big fan. I mean, from Gendy Tartakovsky's original Clone Wars shorts, those I strategically planned sleepovers at my buddy's house because he had Cartoon Network for when they did the marathons of those. I knew they were happening, and I would, oh, maybe I should come over on Saturday. Hey, could I spend the night on Saturday? And then we just watched those. But watching Dave Filoni's work really as the heir apparent to George Lucas, what he's been able to do in animation across Clone Wars, the Bad Batch, Rebels, all of it as one just continuing saga. I'm a big fan of what he's been able to do in animation there. And Star Wars Visions now, those I have loved so much. Just seeing different animation studios and different styles telling different stories within that are non-canonical, fun, that's just so imaginative and brilliant. Like, as an animation fan and a Star Wars fan, every time there's a new Star Wars Visions, I get extremely excited.
Absolutely. Well, once I go over the fact that if you're a fan of black, white, and red, we have the Darth Maul collection. And if you're a fan of the new sequel trilogy, we have Hyperspace Codebreakers wrapping up. The big one is a brand new #1 from one of the greater recent animations in the Star Wars universe, Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Bad Batch. Oh wow, everything's got to reload on this after the computer crash. Bad Batch has a new series, Rogue Agents, done by Michael Morecki, who is no stranger to the Star Wars universe and the adventures or hyperspace stories lines. Is going to be bringing back the Bad Batch for yet another quest. And I mean, even though we know the animated series had a very strong ending, I have zero problem going back for more adventures with these former troopers.
Especially with Mike at the helm. Like, I've worked with Mike for a number of years at Vault, where he has his series Barbaric. And Mike's now directing film and writing all kinds of things. It's good to see that he's still doing comics and still doing Star Wars comics, because Mike is, if you ever get a chance to talk with Mike about Star Wars, Matthias, you'll have a really good time. He's a deep Star Wars nerd.
You know, the funny thing is, I've talked with Mike a number of times, and I've never talked Star Wars with him. That is
Oh,
actually.
you gotta talk Star. Like, he has a Rebel Alliance tattoo on his arm, and I'm pretty sure it's his only tattoo. Yeah.
All right. The one last Star Wars one I love to death, Cavan Scott, who is also a big Star Wars fanatic and Star Wars writer across the board, doing audio dramas, prose novels, and comics, is continuing on his horror anthology, Tales from the Nightland. So if you have not been checking that, the nightmarish mythology of the Twi'lek species really coming to fruition in this.
Gavin's another one of those that you can talk Star Wars with him forever, and also just a delightful human being.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Yeah. Now, if you're a Turtles fan on the opposite end of the Star Wars spectrum, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Kevin Eastman covers, collecting the last 5 years of great TMNT covers by Kevin, which is going to basically be issue 100 onward, all that Last Ronin content and more. This is a collection that is just $40 for a nice oversized IDW hardcover. So think of that Last Ronin hardcover size.
Nice.
We also have more of the Ultimates line coming towards that wrapping end. But the thing I am excited about is the return to traditional X books. We had 3 months off for the Age of Revelation. And if you've heard our wonderful co-host and producer Kyle go off about them, you know he wasn't a fan of how Marvel presented that. Now we get back to what we all know and love. Gail Simone is once again picking up the story. It is right now all black as I load everything up. Picking up the story she left off on with our new antagonist. David Marquez's incredible artwork in the interiors. The Shadows of Tomorrow begins with Uncanny X-Men 22 hitting stands on January 14th. Man, we're already doing 2026 books. It's crazy.
We are. My next couple FOCs are. Yep.
And again, I said my love for Gambit and Rogue before. Like when I was young, Gambit and Rogue. Well, Gambit was new, and that was the character I always wanted to play on the playground.
Yeah.
It is exciting to see all these great Gambit and Rogue covers that literally we get Clayton Crane, Simone DeMeo, and then we get both of them in a beautiful Ji Chung Lee. So absolutely awesome pieces there. Now, we've gotten through you, though. Some great Undead, Undead Iron Fist, Undead Pool. But let's get to the V that we've been waiting for.
Vendetta.
I want to hear more about Voyeur. Can you tell me a little bit more about Voyeur? Let's get some people introduced to this that somehow might have slipped up and not had the first 2 issues already in their pull.
Jokingly, this is the Williams sisters FOC. We had Stephanie Williams. There is no relation. We had Stephanie Williams on Roots of Madness, and then this is Leah Williams over here on Voyeur. And Voyeur is sort of, in my mind, the heist romance steamy book that you've always dreamed of. It's Ocean's 11 meets the White Lotus. I would even, for those who are maybe a little older watching the stream, if you liked Romancing the Stone, but you wanted it to be sexier and with more danger, like that's exactly what this book is. It feels like 90s thrillers, especially the more erotic thrillers. It's got a little bit of a slight Fatal Attraction tinge to it, but this book has been it's the Thief of Thieves meets Sex Criminals, right? Like it's more adult, it's more racy. It's not NC-17 or anything like that, but this book is steamy. When we launched at San Diego Comic-Con, this book had a themed burlesque show that was presented around it, and instead of an ash can, the Voyeur #1 preview was an ass can. We definitely lean into the cheekiness here. It is a fun classic two-hander romp. It is the first creator-owned book from Leah Williams after really popular. They're reuniting here with their artist David Baldoni from their Power Girl run, which was so well received a little while back. So nice to get that team reconnected again. Put a big push behind it at San Diego, and it worked out. After a healthy reprint, #1 has sold out. It's a thrilling, fast-paced, sexy heist movie that takes place on a tropical island with this incredible setting and this amazing resort. And David's art is really up to an 11 with this. He draws characters in such an appealing way where you see personality, you see flair, and you just want to hang out with these characters. You just want to stay in the page with him whenever he's working on anything, but especially here in Voyeur, it's a sexy, fun book. This is not a kid's book. This is like older teens at best. We gave it the mature rating for a reason. But if you haven't been able to pick up Voyeur #1 and you see one on the stands, grab it. grab it because they're out at the distributor. So if your shop still has one, you might want to pick that up because we will be going back to print on this one very soon. And that's your exclusive news for the stream. We haven't announced that yet.
Well, I'm kind of curious because one of the cool things that I like with Ignition, it's a subtle thing that most people won't even notice, but I really like is that each comic is individually numbered.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, that's already an interesting thing. So, as you guys go back to print, are you going to have individually numbered second printings?
Oh yes, every book that we print is getting the individual serialized serial treatment. So whenever you pick up an Ignition book, this is just what was nearest to me, but there's an Arcadia. If you look on the back, there's this little box down below, and that will have your serial number there. Yeah, so you can see any Ignition Press book. Always our trade dress at the top with our logo, clear barcode. We always have the cover artist's name down there as well. Full pitch on the back. Anything if a book looks interesting, you pick it up, you can read it and get our pitch, see the full creative team, and then right at the bottom there, that is your serial number for your individual issue. Every single one off the print line. So and they're completely randomized. So you never know where something's going to end up. If there's specific numbers you're after, but trying to get a low one, obviously single digits could be more valuable in the long run. Who knows? But yeah, just something different that we're trying here that so far has been pretty darn well received.
It's one of those things that until you were last on, I was aware of the fact, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. I'm just enjoying the content. The comics are amazing. But I'm not going to lie, since then, whenever I get in my new books, I kind of look at the numbers and, trying to I know I'm going to buy this cover, but, that one's issue or number 66. That one's number 300. I'm going to take the 300.
Yeah.
I get a little excited about the numbers. It is kind of fun. So it's something you can, when you go into your local comic shop, you already know which cover you want of which book, but now there's some more fun choosing on, what number am I going to get? Is this
right?
Number that means something to me, or is it a cool number? The Star Wars fan of me always loves getting the 66s or the 77s.
Mathias, I was at a restaurant the other day. I put in my order and they gave me it was order number 66. And I had someone in my ear while I ordered. I was like, hey, hold on, I'm just gonna put in an order real quick. And then I got it back and I went, oh my God, dude, I got order 66. And he's like, oh, yeah, one more 6 for Satan, or add a 3 for a fun time. And I was like, you don't have to mess with this number. It's perfect exactly as it is. And the fact that you didn't make that reference makes me question our friendship.
All right. So give everyone the last quick, you said what Voyeur, is like. What is the plot for Voyeur? What is the, this is why you specifically need to
okay, so we've got a security agent who is the security agent for this fancy resort is spying on a guest and realizes that this guest is not just beautiful, but perhaps dangerous. And the two of them get in league with each other to pull off a heist at the resort. Are they really on the same side of this thing? Are they falling in love? Are they going to betray each other? Will they, won't they? In so many ways, they will in some way. But it's an art caper. It's an action heist adventure that is incredibly sexy. And so you get to watch these two characters figure out what's most important and what are they really trying to steal, art or someone's heart?
There you go. I mean, Conan always led me to believe that, what's most important was drinking the blood from the skulls of your enemy, but this takes it in a much more romantic and loving way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a really, really fun time. And I think anybody who's enjoyed any of the movies that we've mentioned, but especially if you were a fan of The White Lotus, just pick this up. You're going to enjoy it. I guarantee it.
All right. Wrapping up all of our fun, there's more romance over at Distillery as White House Robot Romance wraps up with its final issue number 3 over at Distillery. Chip Zdarsky's great tale of a potential American-Canadian war, something I hope doesn't come to fruition, is just an amazing book. So make sure you add that to your pull and grab the first 2 issues if you haven't already. Meanwhile, if you're one of the people waiting to wrap up Age of Revelation, well, then the way to wrap it up is X-Men Age of Revelation, the finale, right there. Look at that beautiful cover by Marcos Martin. So simple and well designed. But Jed McKay brings an end to that alternate future X years in the future. Um, before we dive back into present time with, well, Jed McKay, Gail Simone, and all these same creators we love and adore. This is going to be an interesting one. Some great covers that give a hint of where things are and where things could be. I'm curious. It's a very weird thing to end a futuristic miniseries and then return back to the present time. Because I mean, it sets a question of where will things go, how will they get there, but I don't know. I guess I don't like looking at the future for that. It gives that destiny mentality that like I feel. Does that mean we're locked in, or we're just going to completely ignore it?
I don't know. I think I look at Back to the Future for my philosophy on time travel and the future and whatnot. It's always in flux. Things can change. You create a new reality, and I think however you experience time, which I know we tend to experience time linearly as people. Although apparently the neuroscience backs this up that as you get older, your perception of time does change, and things do not only feel like they are flying by faster. They from your perspective they are. That is a scientifically backed fact that time goes by faster as you get older, and and Cat Stevens wrote a great song about it. But I think I like my time travel in the Back to the Future style. Like there's always something that can change. There's always something that can be messed with.
Well, I think you said it wonderfully there, like a different timeline. It's its own dimension because come to think of it, I guess we had this with the Days of Future Past. And while we are far from heading into that path of Trasks and the Sentinels at this point in time for X-Men, we can always go back to it with more fun Days of Future Past stories. So perhaps that will be where
Absolutely.
Age of Revelation ends.
Days of Future Fun.
As long as you're not Scott Summers, yes.
As long as you're not Scott Summers. That man hasn't had a good day in a long time.
Yeah, yeah. X Vengers, one of the final Age of Revelation titles on FOC, with its third issue, likely leading to a new Danny Moon comic series in 2026. And then for a little bit more naughty Seven Seas and Ghost Ship fun, there is Yandere Dark Elf. She chased me all the way from another world, kind of reversing the isekai concept. So let's
That
pop
looks
on.
like a Seven Seas book.
That looks like a 70s book. Yes, indeed. All right, let's pop on over to Lunar. Thankfully, that didn't have much to load. And we scroll on down to upcoming FOCs, reminding you all we're doing November 17th, this Monday's Final Order Cutoff. Make sure you get your local comic shop your orders as soon as you can. As we look through the continuation of things like Absolute Flash, the final issue of Ancestral Recall, really great series. Final issue of Artificial. We're seeing a lot of things coming to an end as we get ready to wrap 2025. It's been a long year, but even then, as you stated, my neuroscience might be just making it travel a little too fast for me.
Could be. Time is speeding up.
Now, we talked about Michael. We talked about Barbarian. Guess what's back?
Barbaric, baby!
Barbaric the Long Death returns.
Let me
Nathan
count.
Gooden, Michael Marecki. Are you?
This is volume 5. They're on volume 5 now.
You have all 4 volumes. It's
Yeah.
I actually have some of the original artwork in my other room, oddly enough. Although the one thing I wish I had was that talking axe.
It's pretty cool. Cool.
You got to hold axe at one point in your life.
I commissioned an incredible cosplayer. Shout out Jesslyn Cupcake. Follow her on TikTok. She made not only axe but flail and another sword from Barbaric for me. Made them real, and then later on made an axe puppet that you could actually make talk. That was I was very responsible with my marketing budget over there.
Well, talking of Axe talking, eventually we will see Axe talk with the voice of Patrick Stewart, I do believe.
Yeah.
So all the more excitement that if you are a huge fan of Patrick Stewart and you cannot wait for that, you need to get ahead with Barbaric, the new 3-issue miniseries, The Long Death, as we get some answers to some long-awaited questions or some long-awaited answers to some notorious key questions about the past of our characters and what they are doing.
Mhm.
This has me rather excited because I love every issue Barbaric has put out. It is very mature. It is very dark, but also very comedic. And we get some very mature covers on here. Definitely reach out to your store to see if they are qualifying for any of these amazing incentives, but you're going to probably want to let them know if you would like one of those very mature black bag covers. I love that Lunar is finally going back to giving us an idea of what these covers look like with a little bit of censorship, obviously necessary. And Brett Bean, great choice for a cover artist on this.
That's radical. I really like that.
Yeah. So, Barbaric fans, you likely know it already. You're reaching out to your local comic shop, but if you have not yet had the chance, if you want Conan meets comedy, Barbaric is it.
Absolutely.
All right. Over in the world's finest, Mark Waid has Lex Luthor and Joker teaming up against Batman and Superman as this epic tale continues on with some great, great covers by some of DC's finest. It's funny how Marvel was always the variant cover company for me for ages. I mean, Dynamite would put out a million covers too, but DC would hold the line, one, maybe two covers. And now we're at like gates are open, however many covers we can shove out there on DC.
Those Batman blind bags, I think, really opened the floodgates. But even before then, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But man, some of these Catwoman covers are looking fantastic.
I will say Catwoman and Harley Quinn seem to hold and Poison Ivy, the three of them hold my favorite covers week after week. Frank Cho doing his amazing ballpoint
Oh,
pen. Like, look at that cross stitching right there.
I need
And
that
then
as an art print.
look at that Derek Chu. I love the use of cat in Japanese in the neon lights, Neko. Fun little addition. There's a lot of greatness. I mean, even Sarah Boslam's just
Oh, that feels like a wink and a nod to Darwin Cook's work with the character, but still making it very much your own. Yeah.
very Ed Brubaker.
Yep.
Darwin.
Yep. God, I loved that.
Yeah. As we had Mr. Price on earlier, yes, there is Comic Shop News 2001. For those of you who are asking your comic shop to order it, please keep in mind, as if you are a comic shop, you order this in bundles of 100. So talk to your comic shop, see what you can do to get it. Make sure that it gets added to your pull if it's an option, because you're going to want to read this Team America. Like, I'm going to be 100% honest. Motorbikes, not really my thing. Like, I didn't think this was remotely my story. I was not the Evil Knievel kid. But having already read the first few pages of this, Matthew has put together a great story. Josh's artwork, as you guys saw earlier, is phenomenal. I am beyond excited for this.
Absolutely. Glad we could have him on. Matthias, I hate to dash out on you, but I do have a previous standing commitment, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to run. I have to let you
Uh,
go at this point.
well, I thank you so much for joining us. And one last shout out to Daniel over at Ignition. And where can people find you if they want to track you down since you're not here for the last 30 minutes?
Hey, if you can find Ignition on all social platforms, just at Ignition Press. If you want to find me, you hit me up on Instagram at Dan Crary. You can find me there. I'm on LinkedIn too for anything professional. But yeah, come say hi. Slide into those DMs. I'll check them. I promise. Thanks for having me, Matthias. I hate to dash, but appreciate you, and I'll come back anytime you'll have me.
Thank you so much. It is always fun hearing your input because I love the idea of somebody who loves comics as much as you talking about what they love in comics.
Thanks, man. Hey, have a great rest of the show. Thanks, Jay, and feel better, Kyle.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. All right. So now Jay's going to get dragged into this whether he likes it or not.
Okay.
So I'm going to drag you in right away, Jay. I just can't even wait. Are you a fan of Conan the Barbarian?
I've read a few Conan comics, but most of my knowledge is obviously the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Like,
See, that was what I was hoping you'd bring up. Gotta love Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan. I mean, he became the king.
yeah, yeah. Sword and fantasy, sword and sorcery movies and high fantasy movies, especially in the '80s, were my jam as a kid. I loved all those, even when he technically wasn't Conan in the Red Sonja movie. I loved
Oh,
that one too.
well, on that note, I am very excited about this new arc, starting with Conan, issue 27, The Conquering Crown, as Conan gets embroiled with the Mad King of Aquilonia. Could this be the path to Conan becoming King Conan? Is Jim Zub going to give us this story? One way or another, I know I'm in. There are some stunning covers available. I mean, issue 25 was a great issue. I cannot wait to continue all these tales. Meanwhile, on the video game end of things, I'm a fan of Street Fighter. I'm a fan of Darkstalkers. I love when they cross over in any form. And with Tim Seeley and Marshall Dillon, we are getting our third part in the Lords of the Makai. This new one shot is Darkstalkers Street Fighter Rogues with all of the Bs: QB, Soul B, BB Hood. This is going to be a fun issue. I love these crossovers. I guess I just love both universes. I love the character designs. Regardless of the fighting game aspect, these are just really, really great stories with amazing artwork. Alberto Albuquerque doing the incredible interiors. Once again, a beautiful Brett Bean cover on there. But all three of these covers are just fire, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, and Brett Bean, I first learned of them from the I Hate Fairyland covers that he did. And Marshall Dillon, every time I hear that name, I think Gunsmoke.
I do too. I've talked to him about it. I can't remember if he said that. I don't believe he said his name was actually named after that, but I know he definitely had that come up a lot in his youth, as I imagine you have to. I think Marshall watches the show every now and then, so he might pop in the comments for all I know and talk on that. But Marshall, we love your Darkstalkers X Street Fighter. Marshall is also one of the higher ups at Udon, so it makes it a little bit easier to get those things out. Another thing I'm a huge fan of is classic DC and Marvel comics, but it's harder to get classic DC comics. When you're talking 1940s and 50s comics, they can get pricey. So I love these new DC Finest collected editions, giving us the first 2 years of Batman. This new $40 trade is going to give us issues Detective Comics 27 through 52, Batman 1 through 5, and World Best Comics #1. These are key developing issues of Batman back before it was fully Gotham, before the villains rogues gallery had actually kicked in, before there was a Boy Wonder. And then you're going to get to see those first appearances. Bill Finger, Bob Kane, Sheldon Moldoff. This is unbelievable all stars for $40, a must own collected edition. And if you like the sensational Wonder Woman, you can get a similar one here with Wonder Woman Enter the Cheetah. You're going to get Sensation Comics 19 through 34, Comic Cavalcade 3 through 7, and Wonder Woman 5 through 9. This really plays as a volume 2 aspect, but getting those old Harry G. Peter, William Marston, Alice Marble content is great. And if you like that Harry Peter cover, we've got some more for you. I really will say the entirety of Wonder Woman in the 1940s just felt like it was just the edge of inappropriate. Um, I mean, from all of the bondage situations she ended up to into having an artist named Harry Peter on the book, but always brilliant.
Yeah, it was feels like it was definitely riding that line, especially for the 40s.
Yeah, different time to say the least. Now, people who don't need to ride the line because they jump all over it. This powerful team of femme fatale creators is going to be dealing with two of the best women in DC Comics. We are getting Leah Williams and Mirka Andolfo together on a one-shot that pits Harley Quinn against Zatanna. This is the best possible one-shot we could get out of DCKO. Hands down. I'm sorry. I love so many of the characters who are our finalists in that big fight for the Omega Energy, but Harley Quinn teaming up with Zatanna is insane. The last time I think we got that was Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor, and Joseph Michael Linsner in Harley Quinn's Little Black Book. I am excited to have these paired up again, and there could not be a better team than Leah Williams and Mirka Andolfo, who are just going to push the lines, if not stomp all over them. I have to show off every one of these absolutely stunning covers. This is going to be an incredible comic.
Yeah, like the DCKO stuff, I, you know, add that in with the absolute stuff, and DC has just been on fire with this. And I love seeing all the Zatanna love because it feels like she's one of those characters that she's real hot for a minute, and then she kind of disappears and becomes a background character. I love her coming back to the forefront.
Absolutely. We have had so much Zatanna comics. I mean, it feels like returning to like the late 70s, early 80s when she was at very least in Justice League of America every month. But yeah, you're right. We don't get Zatanna for any extended period of time ever. She gets a mini series, she gets a crossover, she's a backup in something. She never really gets to be in the spotlight as much as we've had over the last 2 years. And I am ecstatic to see more of Zatanna Zatara everywhere in the DC universe.
And there might be people thinking it, but I'm telling y'all, do not count Harley Quinn out just because it's Zatanna. Don't count her out. This is gonna be a fun one.
I am excited. I am equally excited about Dick Tracy. I mean, he went to Europe in his last issue, and now he's dealing with Nazis, German spies, and more. Michael Morecki, once again, teaming up with Alex Segura of Star Wars. So it's two big Star Wars fanatics teaming up on Dick Tracy. I'm not always into Dick Tracy, but apparently when I am, it's Dick Tracy fighting Nazis. And I am good with that. I love this idea of Dick Tracy in Europe, being the detective we want him to be. Makes me actually want to have a little talking wristwatch until I realize I don't want to be on that level of connected to my device.
Yep, one of those as a kid, and then I realized we can have that these days. Yeah, no thanks now.
Yeah. All right. Kieran Gillen has a number of incredible books out this week. He has relaunched Die with Die Loaded, issue number 2 on FOC. If you did not grab issue number 1, it is on stands now, as is the quick guide to the Die role-playing game. So hopefully you can swing by your local comic shop or local game store and play the game just like our protagonists do. Meanwhile, Die in a very different way, in a much more bloody way, Dynamite is bringing Dynamite Blood Red, issue number 3 on FOC, as all of our femme fatales like Vampirella, Red Sonja, and more, Miss Fury, fight off zombies, vampires, and others. I have to say, this Will Robson cover looks so Art Adams-esque. It is beautiful. And when we're talking about 1980s fantasy films, Conan, Red Sonja, if you want the best modern take on that, if you haven't seen the new Red Sonja movie that it was executive produced by Nikki Barucci over at Dynamite, you got to watch that. It is streaming now. It is awesome, and it's going to make you want to read so much Red Sonja because it is so wonderfully faithful and acknowledging to the Dynamite Red Sonja comics. Check it out.
That was exactly the cover I was going to ask you to click on. I've been seeing a lot of Will Robson lately, and I am digging his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look at that 1 in 10 Virgin variant. Definitely reach out to your local comic shop to see if they'll qualify for this because that is amazing. EC horror continues onward, as does everything Dead and Dying with Image. So lots of dark and paranormal twists there. But if you want a light paranormal twist, how about Enter the Blue? If you're a fan of jazz musicians, you will enjoy this interesting tale of a young woman who has to retrieve her jazz teacher from the blue, a mysterious place where the history of jazz and blues meld. And you will see the ghosts of classic jazz legends as well as modern ones. This is going to be a very interesting $35 graphic novel, and in true Z2 fashion, I think will give us a great taste of musical influence. But as I've been seeing a lot more jazz, blues, etc., entering the realm of sequential art recently with things like Kyle Higgins' recent Image comic series, this I think has an audience that could be in your comic shop if you're a retailer, or it could be you if you're entering the comic shop. Porn Sack Pitch and Show does Exquisite Corpses #8 along with the rest of the Corpse crew. Take a look at those amazing covers as we are now officially 2/3 of the way through this battle. Odd one. I didn't think I'd ever be talking about Furlough on the FOC show, but Anarchy Press now through massive publishing is going to be on Lunar's FOC, and the longest running furry comic series is nearing issue 200, 199 on FOC this week. This has always been, I feel, the underground comic. Not a lot of comic shops stock it, but there is a large furry fan base out there. So they now have access to see it on FOC and place orders at your comic shop. So you can guarantee any comic shop you go to that has Lunar distribution now will have potential access to that comic if that is your thing. A lot of great covers, a lot of great continuing series on FOC this week. Ghost Pepper coming back for its second story arc. Ludo Lobby doing an amazing tale here that brings in some interesting concepts. I am so excited for the second story arc. G.I. Joe continues its very fast pace of the Dreadnought War. And Harley Quinn just getting all the team ups with Harley Quinn and Elvira, adding in Power Girl to the mix. Absolutely amazing covers. And as I did mention, it was oddly enough Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, and Joseph Michael Linsner who worked together on Power Girl Zatanna before. Guess what? Joseph Michael Linsner has a great cover of Harley Quinn. Did I say Power Girl Zatanna? Sorry. I meant Harley Quinn Zatanna before. Now we get Harley Quinn, Power Girl, and Elvira by Joseph Michael Linsner. Great, great covers there. Also, not to be skipped over, Helen Mullane and Tula Lotay, a graphic novel based on what I believe was an Comixology original, Groupies, coming to Mad Cave. Really interesting tale, very 1960s rock and roll of a group of young women who follow around a rock band only to find the rock band and its lead rock star coming to his dark and twisted end. And these young women must witness exactly how this comes to be. Feels very, what was that award-winning film about the Rolling Stone writer following around the fake rock band? Almost Famous?
Yes.
Yeah, feels very Almost Famous. Hectoplasm, final issue on FOC this week. Some stunning covers. I love that Turtles homage of the 1 in 10. And then the incredible Hellblazer homage as the 1 in 25. Those are going to be high demand, and not everyone is going to be able to get these. So reach out to your local comic shop to see if it's available. But as that cover points out, it is from the backup pages of Invincible. Yes, Hectoplasm originally appeared, and I want to say it was issue 9 or 10 of Invincible. Speaking of Invincible, if you want to read those early Invincibles, a new omnibus hardcover is coming out, and the direct market exclusive, meaning only at your local comic shop cover, is Mark and Peter. Yes, Invincible and Spider-Man. And for the first time in any of these collections, they've had trade paperbacks, they've had compendiums, they've had all of them. They have never included that Marvel Team Up 14. That is a Marvel published comic that has Spider-Man and Invincible team up. We finally get that collected in this new omnibus hardcover. It is a pricey piece at $125, but it is over 49 issues of content. It is going to be an amazing one, and that cover is going to be in demand. I don't know that Robert Kirkman and Skybound will be able to reprint that cover. That's a very big question up in the air with Marvel and Disney legal. So we got it now. Order it while you can. You'll probably be stuck with the direct market cover in all future printings that may or may not include Marvel Team Up 14. I don't know if Disney's going to be as friendly, 2 or 3 years from now as they are with all these crossovers with DC, with Image, with Dynamite, etc. I will say it is nice to have this era though, where Marvel is crossing over. Wouldn't you say, Jay? Like, I mean,
I've been talking about that ever since DCKO showed up. We're going to have Homelander versus Superman, and Scott Snyder confirmed that that's going to happen. I'm like, what an age that we're living in, where these companies are working together and giving fans just fan service galore. I love it. I love it.
yeah. I honestly just it shocks me. My jaw is on the floor at these crossovers I dreamed of in the 80s, 90s, and even 2000s and never thought I'd see. I mean, we did have Marvel and DC crossover a handful of times, and they were always epic, cool moments. But some of these crossovers are absolutely unexpected, fabulous, and man, I cannot wait for more.
Oh, Sam from Beneath the Trees is going to be in a DC book. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that is gonna be crazy. When that graphic first went online, I just assumed Scott Snyder was trolling us. There was no way that was real. Just absolutely crazy. All right, guys. Some great titles. You want to check out lunardistribution.com to see all these amazing ones on FOC, all those beautiful covers of Nightwing, all these new and amazing recurring series, continuing series, more Kieran Gillen fun in Power Fantasy. Rogue Sun gets resolicited, so you have your second chance to go and adjust your orders. Get those amazing Youngblood team up covers. Follow up from that crazy Spawn crossover with the second printing of Rogue Sun 30 just hitting stands this past week. All sorts of fun there. But properly in time for the holidays, we're getting a classic Golden Age reprint, Sensation Comics 38, which is Wonder Woman taking the role of Santa Claus. Wonder Woman alias Miss Santa Claus, according to this cover, by Harry G. Peter. Had to put the G in there so it's less of a awkward modern, humor. But I love this. Of all the crazy reprints to get, this is the other thing. Not only are we getting amazing crossovers, we're getting reprints to comics I never thought I'd own. Because to get into a Sensation Comics 38 in anywhere near readable condition, I feel you're really talking a four-figure sum. And the idea that we can now buy that for just $5 is awesome. So, classic Golden Age comics getting reprinted, affordable prices, good all ages Christmas fun for the holidays. Sonya Reborn getting some stunning covers. Another one I just have to show off. This Stuart Sager. Like I've had the pleasure of knowing Stuart Sager for a number of years. I think I was introduced to him about 20 years ago, I think almost 20 years exactly at San Diego Comic-Con, and just being stunned by this man's art. I don't know how he isn't one of the biggest names in comic art, but his artwork will always just leave you lost in its magnificent, stunning color. That is an amazing cover. Like I said, Nikki over at Dynamite, those guys know how to put out a lot of great covers. Space Ghost continues on with issue 6, giving us some more incredible covers for our Cosmic Guardian and his allies. Then, talking about great holiday gifts, it might not be an ideal holiday gift. I don't know how many people are going to be able to get out to their store on Christmas Eve to get a holiday gift. But I know for one, I will definitely be getting a copy of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge: The Traveler's Guide to Batuu. I've gotten to attend the park and go to the Galaxy's Edge. I love it. It's literally like living out your Star Wars dreams. So having a in-universe travel guide book, all the more fun. You know, when I can't afford to go to Disney, because let's face it, it's expensive to go to Disney. I can't afford to go very often. This will be my little, like live in the world of Lucasfilm and a galaxy far, far away.
And it won't break the bank.
Yes, yeah, $3 for a hardcover in-universe item is an amazing steal. You can't buy a souvenir at the Galaxy's Edge for that much. Speaking of similar ones, My Neighbor Totoro fans, how would you like to write letters to your friends and family with Totoro stationery, Totoro envelopes, and Totoro stickers to close the envelopes? Really awesome stationery set, $25 grabs you that. Reach out to your local comic shop if you're interested in grabbing it. A lot of Superman to add to the S fun of the wall on FOC this week, as Kryptonite Spectrum's final issue is listed alongside Superman Unlimited #8. Very much in that vein of our recent James Gunn film, we have Guy Gardner crossing over. All sorts of fun there, as well as the first hardcover and trade paperback of Superman Unlimited if you want to catch up. Supernatural continues its tale in season 1 era of the Winchester brothers. Again, still not getting the classic vehicle, but we're getting some interesting tales with that. Final issue of Robert Venditti's Cold War, very cold death, surviving a submarine tale. Survive. Final issue number 4 out, as it looks like our Russian and American antagonists team up to survive. Now let's talk about another delightful Christmas one. We had a 1940s reprint. Now we have a very modern day take with Thundercats Holiday Special. Yes, Thundercats Holiday. Wonderful pun. I got to give it to whoever came up with that. I don't know if that was Ed Brisson or one of the Dynamite editors, but it made me laugh. I don't know about you, Jay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When I pulled this up this morning, I was like, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
The worst thing was that was the first time I said it out loud, and reading it in my mind, it worked perfectly. Thundercats Thundercats Holiday. And I realized as I said it out loud live on air, I cannot take that back. But it reads significantly better than it verbalizes. So, some great holiday Christmas special fun for the Thundercats. But perhaps one of the more intriguing one is the new premium mystery blind bag. Now, I've heard a little bit of criticism on the blind bags from Dynamite, and I've probably given a little bit of it too. It looks like a really great deal on this one, as the new blind bags are $14 MSRP and come with 2 copies. You're going to get a guaranteed sketch cover, which, look, you can't go wrong with a Thundercats holiday sketch cover. Think of all the delightful Christmas tree chopping, pieces you could have drawn, or very unique Santa outfits on our various cats. But then you will get an additional cover, one of 5 covers that are exclusively available in this blind bag. Seems like the guys over at Dynamite figured out the blind bag, and this is an interesting one that maybe you're not grabbing, 10 or 20 like you would be from certain publishers, but it could be worthwhile picking up a blind bag from this one. Then adding to the DCKO battles, let me go back actually. Let's do this cover. It's Cyborg versus Swamp Thing in Titans number 30. John Layman brings us technology versus the green in an unexpected battle. Cyborg versus Swamp Thing. I'm in. I'm kind of curious, and I'm going to be bluntly biased. I hope Swamp Thing just trounces Cyborg. Like, do you have a take on that, Jay? Possibly not. All right. right. Moving forward. Vampirella number. Oh, sorry. There you are.
I do. My dog's in here and he was going nuts. I had to stop him. The Green versus the Machine, man.
Ooh,
Like
better.
I'm, yeah. All of these so far, all of these matchups, I'm 100% here for them.
So, do you have a take? Who do you prefer? Are you leaning towards Cyborg? Are you leaning towards
Man, I I gotta go Swampy. I gotta go Swamp Thing on this one.
There we go. I like it. Beautiful, beautiful cover by Brad Walker, switching up the concepts there too. All right, some stunning covers on Vampirella as we come towards an end. World Tree continuing on with some amazing pieces, along with Walking Dead. And then Wonder Woman 28. I mean, this has just been a whirlwind ever since Tom King's 25th issue, as if it wasn't from number one, as we get more amazing shots with young Trinity and some stunning artwork by Homer, Smallwood, Nakayama, all great. But if we're going to end it on a conversation, we got to take it to the ring. Kyle Starks is bringing his comedy fashions to Wrestle Heist. Yes, Wrestle Heist is going to be a new 5-issue miniseries that is all of your Ocean's 11 fun with an unexpected bit of showmanship in wrestling. Now, I'm not even a huge wrestling fan, but I have been loving all of this AEW spotlight on DC Comics, the crossover covers DC's been putting out. Daniel Warren Johnson's Do a Power Bomb is a phenomenal read. So Kyle Starks giving us some comedy wrestling. I'm in. I'm for this. I may not get all the references, but I'm curious to give it a read. But
You had me at Kyle Starks. You had me at Kyle Starks. That's all I
Yep.
needed to hear.
I'm all in on this. So, Jay, you're a wrestling fan, right?
Yeah.
So, does this intrigue you more being a wrestling fan, or is it just like, it's Kyle Starks, I'm sold no matter what?
The wrestling, I mean, Kyle's name being on it helps, but I'm a big fan of wrestling comics. I mean, Crimson Cage. I have not read Do a Powerbomb yet. That is on my list to read. I know my friends have told me you need to read that, but that one, and then Dirk Manning's got Arn Anderson, My Life as the Enforcer, and Butts and Seats, the Tony Schiavone story. I love those. The wrestling comic, yeah. The one they did about the New Day a while back, loved it. So yeah, I'm down for it.
Awesome. I love it. So, we're going to wrap it up then with Youngblood. Youngblood came back to stands this Wednesday, and I'll admit a little bit of shock. I know there's a ton of Rob Liefeld fans out there, but I did not think some 30 years later, Youngblood would still hold the attention it did, and it sold out for me. People came out in droves for it. So Youngblood number one is getting a second printing, and Rob Liefeld's doing what Rob Liefeld does best: homage himself and emphasize Deadpool with this New Mutants 98 homage that I guarantee you will probably outsell. I just said I guarantee and probably. I guarantee you will somehow outsell the first printings because everyone's going to come out for this. I mean, New Mutants 98 homage. It's got quotes from everyone: Robert Kirkman, Jeff Johns, Tony Fleeks. Maybe I am eating my words. Maybe Rob Liefeld is going to swing strong. So make sure you get your orders in for issue number 2, which is also on FOC this week, alongside an oversized Treasury edition of the Youngblood issue number 1, written and drawn by Rob Liefeld. What can I say? You know, Rob's doing it. And I mean, is that Supreme on that cover?
That's who that looks like.
Yeah. So who knew? Maybe 2026 will be the year of Rob Liefeld. And amazingly, not a pocket pouch to be. Oh, there they are. There's the pocket pouches.
And they still got cheekbones they can cut you with.
There it is. Yep. I actually take it back. There are two things I do have to finish off on. Yuletide is wrapping up with issue number 3. Issue number 1 is already on stands. Issue number 2 coming out soon. This is a delightful comic I am truly adoring. I highly recommend people go out and grab issue number 1 if they can. And then, of course, the final tragic issue of Zdarsky Comic News. I have loved all 17 issues out. It is bumming me out that this is coming to an end, but Chip, is doing so many amazing things that it's that hard tear of, well, I love Zdarsky Comic News. I love Chip writing in general, so I'm going to enjoy his Captain America, his White House robot romance, and all of his other books that we will get because he is not as focused on this. And I hope that the successors of Zdarsky Comic News and those that are still around can pick up the weight and bring that up, whether it's Comic Shop News or the Comic Magazine, I believe is the title of it. Jay could probably correct me on that. Was it Comic Magazine?
I think so. Now I'm doubting it.
Yeah, it's too simple of a name. I'm sure Adam Freeman will come and yell at me later if I screwed that up. But
You
yeah,
know, the thing about Chip Zdarsky, I've enjoyed everything that he's worked on. And while I like Cap, Cap's not my go-to Marvel character if I'm going to pick up Marvel. But I got to say, his Cap run so far has made me a huge fan. Like what he's doing in that book, I tell people, I was like, look, if you're not reading this, you really should. If you haven't been a Cap fan, just know that Zdarsky does something with that book that's so unique to me that I'm like, I'm here. I can't wait till issue 5. Like I've read through issue 4. Really, really enjoy the story so far. So I would suggest to anybody, if you want to pick up a Cap book, that's the one I think you should pick up.
yeah, absolutely. I will say, I will mic drop to end this before we get to our top 10. Chip Zdarsky's Captain America is the best Captain America since Ed Brubaker. And on that note, let's cut to our top 10. Man, we had a hard 2-hour run on this one. I told you, it would just shock us. But let's start it off with number 10. It's Thundercats. I'm not going to say it. Holidays. Thundercats Holiday Special. I'm excited. I like this. This is just a fun concept. And I love seeing our heroes, like trying very hard to put together that Christmas tree because I can say sometimes getting that star up top is just a little difficult.
And I love the fact it's cats in a tree is what's getting me. It's cats in a tree.
I didn't even think of that. You're right. All right. Number 9, Batman White Knight. Look, this comic has deserved to be in top 10 time and time again as single issues. Now, a $10 trade paperback giving you the entire opening series is a steal. If you have not read this tale where Batman becomes the villain and Joker is the hero because Batman is just getting deranged in all of his blows to the head and insanity to try and maintain his vigilantism, this is a whole other level. You must read Batman White Knight. Sean Gordon Murphy is not only a beyond brilliant artist, he is a beyond brilliant writer, and you are going to want to read this. $10. $10, it's yours. Get your orders into your local comic shop. Grab a copy. It's a must. In number 8, Amazing Spider-Man gets its winter break variant featuring Mary Jane by Simone DeMeo. I'm not gonna lie. When I first glanced at this, I thought it was Black Widow. It's the fluffy hat, but if you notice, it's MJ's name on the what are those snow driving vehicles called? The California.
Snowmobiles?
What was it? Snowmobile.
Snowmobile? Yeah.
Snowmobile. Yes, the Californian that's never around snow in me is just showing. In number 7, Null is back with a stunning cover by Ivan Coelho that just really expresses the capture of the King in Black and will he break free again. Number 6, Darkstalkers X Street Fighter Rogues, that beautiful Brett Bean cover with our Queen Bee. I think this is just a delightful one. It has a I Hate Fairyland feel to it. Wrestle Heist gets a wonderful Youngblood cover, and I love that Kyle Starks has managed to not only draw this beautiful cover, but throw in a bunch of amazing wrestling puns with the Youngblood, because can you smell what the Bad Rock is cooking? I'm in. It's funny. You know, a month ago, I don't think I would have been enjoying Youngblood stuff the way I'm enjoying it now. It's crazy. Number 4 gives us that wonderful Ken Lashley cover of Boba Fett, black, white, and red. Get some new bounty hunter fun in there. Number 3, Brett Bean makes his way to the top 10 twice. Second time in the same week with that barbaric cover of Owen and Axe falling from the sky, blood dripping. Gives you a good taste of what you're going to get inside. Then we wrap it up with number 2, Lyric Sleeves, Scarlet Witch. Wanda is the Sorceress Supreme in Sorcerer Supreme number 1, and she wears the Eye of Agamotto well. I am excited for this. But nothing more exciting than our number 1 spot. Mirka Andolfo and Leah Williams doing DCKO's Harley Quinn versus Zatanna. And David Nakayama not only giving us a beautiful cover, but a very punny piece right there as Zatanna turns bats to butterflies in a absolutely amazing cover I cannot wait to own. Though I'm also not going to lie, I'm going to end up buying every cover of this book. All right, that is everything from me and the books that are on FOC this Monday, November 17th. Jay, what else do we have today? Because you're pretty much producing everything.
Yes, sir. Later on tonight at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, we're going to have Nick in the original art show. Just a fun show, y'all. Like, even if you don't buy the art, come watch the show. Nick's always got great stories. It's always a fun time with him. Then at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, you got Friday Night Live with Nancy McCann and the folks from Comics Unlimited. And then stay tuned, because I'm not exactly sure if it's going to happen. So stay tuned to the EXP. Sunday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, there could be a Producers Live sales show where you will see Kyle and all his awesome stuff he has to offer, and me just silently in the corner for some reason. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, y'all. And just make sure you're subbed up to the EXP. If you're already subbed up to the EXP, make sure YouTube didn't do that weird thing where they unsub you. It happens sometimes. So just make sure you check that. And Mathias, as always, boss, great show. Love being here, man.
Thank you so much for producing it. Thank you so much to Matthew Price and Daniel Carreri for coming out and helping me talk about all the incredible comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, November 17th. Reach out to your local comic shop as soon as you can with the list of all the things you want, all the covers you need, and all those extra cool contents, whether it be prose, manga, or even, stationery. Your comic shop will love you for it, and we'll love you for it. Thank you guys all for watching. We'll be back next week with more.